Streets and Roads for All grant program. Andrea?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commission. This is an update on a Safe Streets for All project that the MPO is spearheading. It is a grant. There are several corridors identified throughout the county. Hollywood was lucky enough to be identified for Taft Street between 72nd and State Road 7. And they're here to talk about why they chose this segment and what the vision that they're looking for the corridor to look like in the future. Now, they're at the information gathering stage. They're gathering feedback from the community, from the public, and they're here today to get feedback from the commission. Some of the feedback they've already received, they've looked at doing a lane elimination, so reducing some of the lanes for that portion, but they're here today to get your feedback to see if that's something the commission is looking to do or if they're looking to have other improvements out there. And so with that, James will talk about the project.
Good afternoon. Good to be here with you and learn a lot about the schools in Hollywood also. That was very informative.
You want to open one, we're wide open.
Let's work through this project first. So I appreciate the time. We did have the chance to meet, me and my colleagues met with each of you individually for some briefings, and so we'll be brief today and hit on a few points. And we do want to acknowledge that we heard your comments. The presentation today does not necessarily reflect all the comments that we heard, but we are preparing for a public meeting on Monday, and Christine will talk a little bit about that. But basically, the Broward MPO, along with Broward County, partnered to receive a $5 million grant to develop a safety action plan for the entire Broward region. We received one of the largest awards in the country, and the goal is to look at how to prevent traffic crashes that result in death or serious injury. So not necessarily eliminate all crashes, but reduce the severity of them. And as we look at this throughout Broward, we are not performing very well compared to other places across the country. And we shared some of those statistics with you. We did some mapping and looked at where the crashes are tending to occur. And so you can see that on the red lines on the map there. And it turns out about 77% of the crashes that result in death and serious injury are happening only on 6% of the roads. There are several in Hollywood. We are not saying that Taft is necessarily the worst one in Hollywood, but we also wanted to look at county, state, and city facilities. And so this one on Taft bubbled up as a city facility to look at. I'm going to hand it over to Christine Fanchi then to tell you a little bit more.
So through this analysis, we were able to look at kind of where Hollywood ranked, because I thought you'd want to know. And you can see here, Hollywood ranked second in total crashes after Fort Lauderdale. In killed and serious injury crashes, you rank third in the county. For bike ped crashes, second, only to Fort Lauderdale. And then in bike ped killed and serious injury crashes, third. So I guess the good news is that your crashes are less likely to result in killed and serious injuries, but you're still kind of top three. So just wanted you to know. As James mentioned, we did that a full analysis of the whole county and selected 11 corridors so that we could have a mix of state, county, and city streets. And it's 11 corridors, over 20 miles of preliminary design. And if we are able to redesign these streets, we're able to get 10% reduction already, just with those 20 miles designed of our killed and serious injuries across the county. And so Taft, we did a preliminary analysis of safety. So you can see here our limits, 70th to 441. We had 8 killed and serious injury crashes over the last 5 years, about 83 crashes happening every year just in this segment. The street is posted 35 miles an hour. People are on average going 46 during the week and 47 miles per hour on the weekends. Our majority of crashes that are resulting in killed and serious injury are left turn crashes and bicycle crashes. So just wanted to highlight those. So really our goal is to get to 0 severe crashes. So how do we do that? Just wanted to go through, we've been out to the community. Good to see you guys, commissioners, again. We went to Boulevard Heights in September. We also went to Driftwood in September. We did a road safety assessment with your staff in October and then did a big public meeting citywide October 1st. And then we met with staff in November, December to kind of go through the needs of the city balanced with the priorities of this program. And so what we've been doing since then is kind of taking this bucket of countermeasures that you can see here on the bottom and placing them along the corridor. We've got about 40 countermeasures that we've collected that are wide-ranging from creating shared use paths, to separate bikes and peds, to doing traffic calming in the road, to putting flashing lights out, signing and marking. So all different levels of improvements that we can do and kind of layer those on top of each other so that we can get to a safer outcome. So that resulted in a really long list of things that we brainstormed to try to make Taft the safest street in Hollywood. We've got 12, as you can see on the left, that are corridor-wide improvements, including lighting, striping, some raised elements, and then intersection improvements. Of course, we have those left turn crashes and the bicycles that are, highest need for crashes that are happening. So how do we do maybe protected left turns, add lighting, maybe slow down cars as they're turning so that we don't have severe crashes. So as we layer all those things, we're starting to lay this out. As you can see on the bottom is what we're calling our icon map, where we've got kind of images, and then on the top, we're starting to lay out the line work. As James mentioned, this is very preliminary. We were in the planning stages. I think Andrea mentioned that as well. We're just starting to kind of lay things out on the road, and excited to get to the public meeting on Monday. But really quick, I'll just go through. Adding a median was one thing that we heard from the residents very clearly, was that two-way left turn lane continuous is causing a lot of confusion and bad behavior. So you can see there's a median proposed, some mid-block crossings to connect the residential on the south to the commercial on the north. We'd like to get a shared use path on that north side. So we've got some bike facilities happening, and we can understand where they can bike safely. And then continuing east from 68th, kind of the same typical section, median, lanes on both sides, shared use path, align those bus stops with crosswalks so that people have better alignment there. And then all the way to 441, similar crosswalk, as you can see, just west of 64th Avenue, a raised intersection at 64th, and then median trail, raised crosswalk at the church. So that we can safely get people to 441. So this is really, I'm sorry. And the south, I'm sorry. And because we're able to kind of shrink everything up, we're able to add a sidewalk along the cemetery that doesn't exist there today from 64th east to 441. So that's the plan. And we have been meeting with the commissioners. We're trying to look at both options of lane repurposing and not lane repurposing, just narrowing. So we are looking at that. We heard that loud and clear. Working through kind of those two alternatives. So kind of what's next? Monday night, I would love to see you at the Boulevard Heights Community Center. We're having a public meeting at 6 p.m. We're going to have the design much better than what I showed you tonight. At that meeting, rolled out. I'd love to hear your comments and see you there. In April, the Broward MPO board is going to have an opportunity to adopt the Broward Safety Action Plan. And then in May, we hope to have kind of a full package that'll integrate your recommendations, the public input, all the safety analysis we did, and get you a package that includes a cost estimate, benefit cost estimate, and a summary package so that it can move into programming so we can tee it up for funding. And then I'll just say that there's some additional resources that the city has with this program. Our website is full of information about safe streets. We also are creating that high injury network, high risk network, and we've got some equity mapping that you can utilize as a city. We're doing 9 focus plans that are a deep dive into schools, neighborhood, rail, technology, lighting, mid-block, safe speeds, quick build, and pedestrian bike. And some of those deep dives have touched the city of Hollywood, so we'll make sure to follow up with your staff on those. And then we're creating a Safe Streets design manual for county and all the practitioners that are doing street design across the county, and that'll be available late summer. And then last but not least, but I'd love for anyone in the room to stay involved with this project, safestreets4broward.org. We've got a safety pledge. We have a pointed out map. If you have concerns in your neighborhood that you can go in and put that in. Middle of the night, you think of something, you can put it on the map. We're doing a dedication page for anyone who's lost their life to traffic in Broward. We'd love to dedicate this plan to them. And then we're on social media through Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and then good old-fashioned email, ss4a@browardmpo.org. And that's all I have.
All right, well, thank you, Christine. Pat, are there any speaker cards in this presentation? No? Okay. Well, Christine, just to put on the record some of the things that I discussed during our one-on-one meeting. Obviously, we have the great benefit of this right-of-way being roughly 72 feet in width. 4 lanes of traffic, even with 210s and 211s, is 42 feet. That still leaves 30 feet of right-of-way to have the pleasure of having a raised, shared use path for bicycles and pedestrians, landscaping, and the median. And so I look very much forward to, and I will look for, the maintenance of the 2 lanes in each direction, together with the safer, let's call it median turn lane, because I think it's necessary to preserve the traffic capacity and not to cause a congesting condition there. I also, and I just want to encourage a great sensitivity that when you're laying out the medians and preventing and restricting, the free-for-all that is there now. And you mentioned it, and the residents typically come from the neighborhood to the south and want to get to the shopping across the street. So think about how that can be done safely. But I also want to preserve as much business access as could be. I understand that U-turns you guys mentioned are technically safer than left turns, but I really want to preserve as much access to the businesses from every direction that we can and not cause, business loss from, lack of easy accessibility and that nature. And so otherwise, I'm really looking forward to this segment of Taft Street to be, prettier, safer, and more functional than it is today. But again, maintaining the capacity. And we have the space, so God bless America. It's typically, you're tight for space and you wish you had more.
Right.
So here we have 42 plus 30. It's like an artist's dream, right? Enough school for a middle school and a high school, too. Enough room. All right, Commissioner Shuam.
Well, we spoke. I disagree, but I would defer to those who live closer to the area. I thought it was much safer, as you had delineated in our presentation, without that turn lanes, slow things down, make things safer, and if the sacrifice is some slowing down, it seemed like a good idea. But again, curious what those who live near there think. My comment really is on your last slide regarding mid-block crosswalks. We've been trying for years to get FDOT to agree to allow us to do mid-block crosswalks on A1A in our Central Beach area. We have a lot of development going on the west side. So I am just asking if that is kind of within your purview. It might be a good pilot in that area.
Can I respond?
Sure.
So we do have a mid-block crossing safety action plan as part of the Safe Streets program. And so let's get together. We haven't finalized that yet, but after we do, I'd love to share that with you. And the intent of that, we've had several conversations. Many cities across Broward are having that same discussion.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the need for the plan. And so how do we get to that?
Fantastic. Yeah, it seems like different jurisdictions are treated differently, so this is really important.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So.
All right, Commissioner Biederman, close to home here.
So I didn't understand why you were against this.
Excuse me, into the microphone.
He supports the 1 lane in each direction, not preserving 2, when we have 72 feet.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of traffic there and it needs the 2 lanes. It just doesn't need the suicide lane. Because that's what's causing unliving people. The mayor mentioned something about raised shared lanes. I'm not quite sure.
So the sidewalk to the north,
Sounds exciting.
the sidewalk to the north is up a curb. It's a curb, and so it will be a raised curbed sidewalk, but now a shared use path because there's enough space. So imagine bicyclists not having a lane that's on the same grade as traffic. They'll be on that elevated sidewalk, correct? That's the concept right now?
That's what I was excited about because I think we should raise all of our bike lanes because then as you hit the raised area, you got to pull back into your lane. And I know that some residents, when we were talking about the poles on North Park, that they said we should have those reflectors delineating the bike path from the vehicle lanes so that when people hit it, they know they got to pull back in. So if you guys can take that into consideration when you're doing the this project or other projects for bike lanes, maybe we can have that raised bike lane a little bit to keep cars from hitting bicyclists. I also asked for some kind of a advertising plan to get people out to the meeting, and I never got that. And it's 5 days away. So how are we going to notify the public that is interested in coming out to speak that aren't paying attention to Speak Up Broward Facebook page? I think we need a better plan of bringing people out, because I think the last time you went to Boulevard Heights, how many people were there? 3?
Is there a graphic or a flyer that we can
So
share
there
on
is a
social
flyer. We shared it with city PIO staff about a month ago
Okay.
for the event. We also have people on the consultant team that are going in the neighborhood and talking to businesses and neighborhood associations locally,
Okay.
and doing like a door-to-door campaign with flyers as well.
So how many bodies have we touched in that respect? Because
I'd have to find out.
I'd
but
hate
that's-
to see us wasting time not bringing people out,
Of course.
Otherwise, it's just lip service. Hey, we're going to have a public meeting, even if nobody shows up because we didn't tell anybody it was happening,
Right.
right? So if somebody can get that to me, I'll be glad to share it. I'm sending a text message out tomorrow about the concert. So I would love to include that.
Okay.
And we would love to have flyers there at the concert that there should hopefully, God willing, we have people at.
The Silver Wings are performing.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll make sure you have some flyers, and I will send you the city flyer via email.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other than that, I'm just going to reiterate that I think we need a traffic circle as part of this plan, so that it adds some aesthetic appeal to this area of the city that, while I know we're getting one on Arthur Street and 66th Avenue, this is a main thoroughfare. I think it would be great to have the traffic circle as part of it. That's it. I appreciate the attention and the ability to save some lives, because there's been too many. One is too many, but there's been multiple deaths along that wide corridor because people are walking to the stores or walking to Publix or whatever it is. So let's try and save some lives, make it better. If we could get that bottleneck off of Taft and 441, that would be a plus also. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Commissioner Hernandez.
Good afternoon, Christine. You okay? I'll try to be there Monday. And I, too, if you have some flyers, I will disseminate it to some of the businesses along both sides of the road, which are probably going to be the one most affected by the construction that's taking place. I also share the hesitant of narrowing those streets.
Okay.
If you make them narrow the lanes, if you would, and keep them 4-lane, and do a media where you actually have crosswalks with lights and what have you, that would eliminate some of the danger of people crossing the street and just trying to beat traffic. Short and sweet. Great presentation. I love what you're trying to do, and I'm grateful that you're open-minded as to what I grew up in West Hollywood. I don't represent West Hollywood. That's Commissioner Biedermann's right now, but I grew up in West Hollywood, so I can appreciate the traffic that goes through there. As far as the raised bicycle lane, I don't know how you would do something like that, but I would hope that if you drive and you don't get close enough where you have to hit that before you kind of avoid going over it. But it's food for thought. I haven't seen it. I'm open to something like that. But I was surprised to hear that we have that much room where we have 30 feet aside from the 4 lanes. Did I hear you correctly?
So,
I mean, that's what they said is 72
we're
feet.
going to do some math and bring you a typical section on Monday night.
Okay.
So that we can go through it. We do have to save room for curbs and gutters and lighting, and so we need to make sure the math works out, but
Okay.
I think we can make it fit to the mayor's point. So
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it. And by the way, thank you, James, for fighting for us to be able to have that kind of money. It's not every day that you get that kind of money to be able to do something with a particular street. However, I got a question. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, let me activate your microphone, Commissioner Biedermann. Go ahead.
It's just the design. There's no money to build it. It's just,
My understanding that
design
there
is
is $5
fine.
million in order for something like this to
that's for the design countywide.
But magic happens at the MPO, James.
Yeah, the $5 million was for the development of the safety action plan.
Okay.
We recently, and Commissioner Shum knows, we recently adopted the long-range metropolitan transportation plan targeting the year 2050. We have set aside a certain amount of money each year for safety improvements. And as the board approves the plan itself, we want to incorporate the recommendations into the plan so we can look at getting those funding dollars in line. So first, there's also a long process, as you saw with the FDOT presentation. Once we get it programmed, then it takes time to get to the design and then to the construction. So money and time is what we need.
Okay, well, I said corrected then, but thank you nonetheless. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to bring up Monday. That's it.
All right. Let's go to Vice Mayor Quintana.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I think during our conversation, I talked about how great it is that we have raised bicycle lane option to make our bicyclists safer. And then I also was talking about whether there's flooding in that area. So I love Commissioner Biederman's suggestion about a roundabout anywhere there that we can build into the design drainage, places for water to go, is something that I would love to see considered. That's it. Thank you.
And all of those elements, which I know will, you'll put together in a proposed design, I know have to come here for approval at some point. I noticed in the order of things. I would just encourage you so that we have a successful approval here at the City Commission, even though it sounds like there's enough room for everything. There might be some touchy issues if you all deviate from what we all aspire to have. And so if you feel like there's a need to have a preliminary Zoom meeting before you come to commission and really put the finality on what you think will be a final design, I just encourage you to discuss with us any departures from what we're talking about so that we can digest that and talk about it and not just come and maybe have an unsuccessful final approval meeting. I'd rather it be successful, and I have no doubt that it will be because we have so much space. And so I'll leave it at that. All right. Thank you all so much. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, item 27 is